Live from Gillette Stadium, welcome to the Patriots Draft Party, presented by Bud Light. I am joined by the Patriots Unfiltered crew, Eric Scalavino, Paul Perillo, Tamara Brown, Mike Dussault, and on our main stage, handling the really important people, we have Nick Fitzy-Stevens. Nick?
What's going on, Putnam Club? How's everyone doing tonight? And hello, everyone in Pats Nation watching from home tonight. Let's make some noise for being back at Gillette Stadium, everybody! Fred, it is great to be back tonight. We've got some awesome interviews lined up for you here tonight at the Patriots 2022 NFL Draft Party. Ownership, coaching, alumni, current players, and so much more. But I want to throw it back to you guys. Let's get right into the draft talk. We don't know who's going first overall. There's no consensus top 10. And at 21, who will the Patriots draft? What kind of impact will they have? Or could it be a trade back?
Thanks, Fitzy. Like he said,
I have absolutely no idea.
But like he said, I think that's what makes this draft in particular exciting. Forget about the Patriots for a second. Let's just talk overall. I don't care what mock draft you're looking at. They're all different.
Yeah.
They're all different.
They have been since the beginning, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a new name. I think it was, Evan Neal was the first one I saw like a few months ago.
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah. It's changed. It's rotated. Every time you see a new mock draft, it's a new name.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterbacks this year, only a couple that might sneak into the first round.
Yeah.
I think those are, that's a big key factor. Does the team need to go up, get a quarterback? We know what that was like last year for the Patriots. They got Mac Jones at 15, so that could really affect the board when you get down to 21 where the Patriots are.
Paul, you've been covering the draft since leather helmets.
Absolutely.
When's the last time you remember a draft with so little quarterback action in the first round?
Yeah, I forget the year, but the E.J. Manuel year. I believe the Bills took him at like 18, and that was the only quarterback in the first round. But it is rare to have not just no quarterbacks taken in the first round, but most people don't really feel like there's any deserving of it. I mean, sometimes it's need, and sometimes it's based on the board. But this year,
But they will be taken.
yeah, well, this year
There
there
will
are
be
teams
quarterbacks
that
taken.
need them, and I don't think they're going to take it.
Well,
I just don't think they
there's
would
a
take
couple names out there that aren't draft picks, but Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo floating around, and
Right.
that could change things, maybe even in the first round.
I mean, and multiple teams with multiple picks in the first round that have the capital to go and get those guys if they want them. So, I mean, things could get crazy. It could get turned upside down right away with a team going out and grabbing one of those
And you
guys.
also have to remember that Deebo Samuel is also still available. So someone could trade two of those picks, not just for a quarterback, but for a wide receiver.
That would be a monster development in the first round.
Here we are. Let's go, right?
The
Well,
Giants.
that's what we're here for. We want, we need some excitement. We need some movement coming around. And, last year we had the 5 quarterbacks taken in the first 15 picks. That was the juice.
Right.
Last year, this year, maybe it's trades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling this could be one of the longer first rounds we've seen in a while because I think, like Paul said, there are going to be so many teams that are interested in trading down that they're going to take most of their 10 minutes to try to make calls and try to see if anybody wants to trade. Whether those trades are consummated remains to be seen, but I think a lot of teams are going to take their full window, which means we could be here for a little while.
And because so many teams are reportedly looking to trade down, the value could be in trading up.
Maybe. And I mean, I think a lot of, pundits say that the best part of this draft is really into day 2 and those areas. So I think there'll be teams trying to trade down maybe as well. But if you love a player and you want to go get him, you could possibly have the opportunity, teams looking to move down.
All right, so let's go around quickly. Who do you think is going to be the first guy off the board?
I think I'll jump in. Aiden Hutchinson. I think it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson. It's just the easiest pick for the Jags. I think they need a guy who can just come in. They know what he can do. Trayvon Walker has been making a push, but I think he's a little bit more of a projection. So I think that's the easy pick for them. But I mean, how could you really argue if they went with one of the offensive linemen as well to protect Trevor Lawrence?
Aiden Hutchinson's got the momentum right now, I think.
You do?
I do.
See, I
Yeah.
thought he lost a lot.
Yeah,
of
I think
momentum.
I've been hearing
Trayvon
Trayvon Walker.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Trayvon Walker.
But it just speaks to the unpredictability of this particular round because I can't remember any time, leather helmet or no, Freddie, that people didn't know the first pick.
Yeah.
Right.
Even the year that Mario Williams overtook Reggie Bush, that happened a couple of weeks before the draft, or at least a week or so before the draft. Everybody said,
Yeah. Yep.
this is what's going to happen. Right now, I mean, I think as recently as 3 days ago it was Aiden Hutchinson. Now all of a sudden, I'm with Tamara. I think everybody's going with Trayvon Walker now.
It's kind of unfortunate because at the start of this process, Trayvon Walker was maybe a day 2 guy even, and now he's going all the way up top. So it's some uncertainty.
All right, I hear we have some special guests ready to go on our main stage, so let's throw it back to Fitzy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage our first interview tonight. he says he's a fan first, but you may also know him as the chairman and CEO of your 6-time Super Bowl champion, New England Patriots. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Robert Kraft.
Thank you, Fitzy. I like your kicks. Well, to all of you, welcome back to Gillette Stadium. It's great to see everyone here. And it's hard to believe that the last time we gathered for a Patriots Draft Party was 2019. And that's the year we were coming off our 6th Super Bowl championship. And we had the 32nd overall pick in the draft. So while drafting 15 last year and 21 this year makes the Patriots Draft Party a lot more exciting, I would still like to win the Super Bowl and draft number 32. You know, I love this time of year and what the NFL draft means. Being from New England, I have friends in LA and Miami, and they say, what's your favorite season? I mean, do you like the winter or the summer? We couldn't be there for the winter. And I say, my favorite season, my least favorite season is the off season. And that's the way it's been for me for the last 29 years. And this is a chance for us to look at what's happening. The year really begins. I think Scotty Z said, Happy New Year to everyone, because the draft is the beginning of the new year in his book. And I like that. And we'll have our schedule coming out about 10 days from now. So this year marks the 29th draft with the Patriots for our family. And it's the 23rd draft with our head coach, Bill Belichick. And I'm pretty proud of that. And let me just say, for the first 26 years, we had a draft party that we hosted here, and we never drafted a quarterback in the first round. Last year, as you all know, we had a chance to draft an amazing quarterback, in my opinion. And I'm just sorry we all weren't here to greet him, and you couldn't see him when he came here, but we weren't, because of COVID, not allowed to have the fans back because of the pandemic. So it's hard to predict what Coach Belichick is going to do, in case you don't know. I don't think we know what he's going to do, really. But I'll tell you one thing. He's not going to draft a quarterback in the first round. So, and I'm always curious at an event like this, and I can tell by the applause what you all think. So I'd like to ask you, how many people think that we're going to trade up in this draft? Please applaud if you think we're going to. How many people think we're going to stay at number 21? How many people think we're going to trade down? Well, okay. To those of you who think we're going to trade down, I love you guys and gals and kids, because, you know, for you to come here and spend 4 hours and think that's what's going to happen, it just shows how great you are. And it takes me back to when I bought the team, and the 34 years before we bought the team, this stadium was never sold out. And since year one, since our family bought it, the fans here have been fantastic to us. You're the best. We're lucky to have you. I thank you for your support, and I hope we have a great year. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Robert Kraft. Thank you, Mr. Kraft. No joke, last year at our draft party, which was outside in a little bit of a cold rainstorm, Mr. Kraft, after our interview, gave me a pair of these, the 2018 Air Force Ones. This is the second time I've worn them, and I got to tell you, I feel pretty excellent wearing them right now. Thank you very much, Mr. Kraft. So what did we say? We said we had so many people that wanted to see the Patriots trade up, so many people that want to see the Patriots trade back. A lot of people think they'll stay at 21. A lot of different needs the Patriots have. One thing the Patriots don't need is a third down back, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Returning for his 9th season in Foxborough and now joining me on stage, Super Bowl champion James White's in the house. Sweet Feet's here, everybody. Come on, make some noise. Sweet Feet's back. It's been a while since you heard the crowd at Gillette make some noise for you, right? How's it feel to be back?
It feels good. Feels good to see a bunch of people in here, get around, interact with the fans, and be with the best fans in the NFL.
So I think the number one question on everyone's mind, have you seen Coach Belichick's draft sheet, and what's he planning to do at 21?
I have no idea. I don't think some people in the building probably don't know what he's going to do, but he's a mastermind, and he has the master plan, so he'll figure it out and make the right choice for us.
Actually, I think all the fans that are here right now, and especially all the fans at home right now, Pats Nation watching worldwide on our live stream right now, would like to know, last year we lost you early on in game number 3, unfortunate home loss here to New Orleans. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling pretty good. Still have a little while to go, but each week I'm feeling better and better. Obviously, it was a pretty rough injury, not even really a football injury, but just taking my time, attacking it each and every day, either 5 days, 6 days a week, to make sure I'm feeling good and ready to go for whenever I step back out there.
So let's go back a little less than a decade right now. Take us back to your draft night. What did you go through draft night? The expectations, the excitement, the hype, the hope, and everything that went into you being selected by the Patriots. And did you think you'd come all the way from Scotty all the way up to Pats Nation?
I actually had a pretty good idea I was going to end up here. This was my only draft visit, and I had a pretty good feeling that they liked me, but honestly, you never really know where you're going to end up. First night, I obviously knew I wasn't going the first night. Second night, we had like a party, bunch of friends and everybody over. Didn't get picked. That's a pretty sad feeling when you have a party and everything, you don't get picked. And then the next day, I got picked. And just was really excited. It's everything you can dream of, but it's just the beginning. It's just getting your foot in the door, and then all the hard work starts once you get into the building.
James, I have a couple other questions for you, but apparently there's a draft that's beginning in about 15 minutes or so, and there's someone, I believe, who needs to oversee operations here at Gillette Stadium for the New England Patriots. So without further ado, he really needs no introduction, but you may know him as the head coach of the New England Patriots. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Belichick.
Hi, man. I think I'm good here. Hi, everyone. Great to see all the fans back here. Saw some good day here on the draft, and good opportunity here for us to improve our team and bring some new faces in, like James was just talking about. And certainly excited when we drafted him. I know we got a couple other players here, like David Andrews, who we didn't draft, probably should have drafted, but. Anyway, always an exciting day, very unpredictable day. I'm sure this draft will be no different with, I think it's 6 teams that have 2 picks in the first round, so I would expect there to be, some trade, some movement and all that. And our staff's done a great job. Matt Groh really heads this up, and Elliott Wolf and their staffs and the people that work with them, they've done a tremendous job. This is a class that is a very big class because it also contains a lot of players from last year who went back after the non-COVID season, where teams like the Big Ten and the Pac-12 only played a handful of games. So a lot of those players went back, and so it's really like 2 senior classes that are coming out. So the volume of players is quite high. So there's quite a bit of depth in the draft, and I think you'll see that in the later rounds as well as in free agency and post-draft, where teams will be, bidding after those players that aren't picked, players like David Andrews, J.C. Jackson, Malcolm Butler, guys like that, Jacoby Myers, guys that weren't drafted but came in and made a big impact on our team. So appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Be an exciting night, and I'm sure should be quite a show out there in Vegas. You know, no telling what the players will be coming up in chariots or boats or whatever it is, but should be quite a show. So have fun tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the fall on the field behind you. All right, thank you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Belichick. I think they're actually going to be taking gondolas across the Bellagio fountains to the stage to meet up with Commissioner Goodell. Chariots would also be awesome. I would love to see that. Going to be an exciting draft. Vegas is lit. We're about 12 minutes away from the first pick. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, Pats fans, Pats Nation, everyone here, we're going to welcome James White back to the stage. And also, joining him is defensive back Miles Bryant. What's up, Miles? How you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. All right, James, where were we there? We were in the, I know, right? Coach just comes along, right?
He's more important.
Well, he does have a draft to attend to tonight as well. I understand. It's a big draft. This is a big draft. How excited do you guys get now, not just on your own draft night as well, like you were sharing before Coach spoke, James, but just on draft night, knowing like there's going to be new players coming in. Miles, you went undrafted, of course, a couple of years ago. You're now part of we got two legacy guys. You're part of the great legacy of third down backs in the Coach Belichick era. You're now part of the great legacy of undrafted free agent corners and defensive backs who have made their way to the team and made a significant impact in the NFL. But how excited do you get to potentially meet new teammates, rooting for guys from Wisconsin, or maybe, hey, Trent McDuffie could come from your alma mater, Washington? That would be pretty hype as well.
I think for me, it's just exciting, you know, meeting guys. I think something that this game has provided me is good relationships. So, like, a good relationship with James here, David and Dietrich, and just being able to meet guys from all over the country who share the same love for the game. So I think for me, that's a big part of it.
So what was your draft night experience like? James was telling us, having a party, getting excited, thought the Patriots were into him. Did you have a chance to meet with the Pats beforehand? Because during mock draft season, we all hear about top 30 interviews. The Pats flew out to meet this guy, and of course, those guys never get picked. What was we know that. The second we hear the Patriots are interested in, no way. So what was your process like?
For me, it was pretty unique. So I came out during the COVID year, 2020, and I think I met with like 29 teams at the Combine, and the Patriots, they were not one of them. And
See? Classic Belichick, classic, right?
Yeah. And then day 3, I think the start of day 3, that's when I started to talk to them. It was actually the first time I talked to them. So our corners coach, Mike Pellegrino, he ended up calling me the morning of the day 3 draft, and it caught me by surprise because I had never had any kind of communication or anything with the Patriots. And then as the draft went, picks started going, and even then we thought I might end up in the 6th or 7th round with a couple other teams. But then those teams ended up trading those picks away, and then at the end we felt New England was the best fit for me.
So you met with them, you had a chance to talk to them, at least you were familiar with them before the undrafted free agent process began, which of course the New England Patriots have had a lot of success with. J.C. Jackson, now playing for the Los Angeles Chargers, and of course Malcolm Butler, who's back. Speaking of which, have you guys had a chance to reconnect with Super Bowl 49 hero Malcolm Butler since he returned?
Yeah, I have. It's good to have him back. We're actually in the same class, so we've experienced a lot of hard work and dedication, a lot of tough football games together, so it's definitely good to have him back in there, and he adds and beefs up our secondary for sure.
I was so fired up to see him come back. Like Malcolm Butler, that's someone that we love, and the whole narrative of he'll never come back. Come back. Actually, he re-signed with the team, and he's going to help us win another Super Bowl. Am I right, guy in the front row? Darn right I am. You bet your sweet Lombardis I'm right about that. Last question I want to ask. Versatility. How important is it, whether you're drafted, become a multiple Super Bowl champion, undrafted, working your way through the ranks, you play a number of positions. Miles, maybe you can really speak to that, as some guys will try to fight their way from 4th-round pick, 6th-round pick, undrafted, to becoming a starter with the Patriots. How important is positional versatility with the Pats?
I think it's very important. I remember coming out of college, one of my college coaches told me, the more you can do, the better off you are. So I think I tried, once I got here, I tried to learn from guys like Devin McCourty, J.C. Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, John Jones. Those are all guys who play different positions. But I try to learn from each one of those guys and try to pick their brain and try to pick up something from their game that I could add to mine. And then when my number was called, if a certain position went down, then I was able to step in with the proper preparation because I decided to seek out information from those guys. So I think versatility is like one of the biggest things really in all athletics, if you look at it. If a guy can play basketball, he could guard 1 through 5, like he's a pretty valuable asset to that team.
The fans love to see it. The coaches love to hear it. Can't wait to see you make another play like when you knocked down that ball in Buffalo last year. I can't wait to see you throw a ball into the stands in the Super Bowl end zone once again. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for defensive back Miles Bryant and Sweet Feet James White on stage at the draft party. And now we're gonna throw it back to Patriots Unfiltered. Fred, we're just a couple minutes away. Guys, who's going number 1? What's going to happen? I can feel the excitement all the way from Vegas, baby.
Fitzy, before we give you all those answers, I really thought you were going to use your charm to pry out the answer from Coach Belichick on who he was going to pick.
Drop the ball, Fitzy.
Yeah.
Shame.
Really, and he dropped the mic too, apparently.
I don't even think he asked the question.
All right. So let's talk about Patriots right now. We talked about the uncertainty of the draft, but there's uncertainty around the Patriots too. They're picking at 21. A lot of people think they're going to trade down, but because a lot of other teams reportedly might trade down, there may not be a dance party for that.
Right.
So what do you guys think the Patriots are looking at if they have to pick at 21?
I think there's a bunch of players that we've seen in various mock drafts that we can kind of project to be there. And maybe the most popular one, Devin Lloyd from Utah, linebacker, N'Kobe Dean, linebacker from Georgia, 2 linebackers. A lot to like about their game. N'Kobe Dean, a little undersized. Is he a right fit? Zion Johnson, offensive lineman, Boston College, very versatile. He's another one. Trent McDuffie, which Fitzy mentioned, of course, the Miles Bryant old teammate.
Okay, you can list everybody.
There's a lot.
Okay.
Tamara,
I know.
You gotta be a little bit more specific.
Yes, you got to leave some people for me.
Right.
So I was talking to these guys earlier. I've never been gambling before, but I've got my chips here.
You got 2 stacks.
I've got my stacks here ready, and I'm going to go all in on 2 guys.
Oh, 2.
2 guys, both on defense.
I don't think that's allowed.
Well, go ahead.
This is my table, so
Deuce
I'm
had
making the
10.
rules. I'm making the rules.
Yeah.
So my 2 guys are going to be cornerback Andrew Booth, Clemson.
Okay.
And did I take your guy? Sorry, Eric.
Yeah,
Sorry,
thanks.
Eric. And my second one, I'm going to go with Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. Edge rusher.
Okay.
Both of those are great guys. Obviously, both in the ACC. I love my ACC guys, but I think that when you look at the Patriots' needs, those are 2 guys that I think could still be available at 21.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's hard to predict exactly what's going to be available. I like the linebackers. I like Devin Lloyd and I like N'Kobe Dean. So either one of those 2 guys I'd be thrilled with. I know everybody likes to talk about the wide receivers, and I'm not going to lie, I would love to see a weapon come here and help out Mac Jones. If for some reason, Deuce, block your ears. If Jameson Williams starts to slip a little bit, I want to move up. I want to trade up and get him.
It's funny with him that I see him anywhere from top 5 in some mocks to the 2nd round because of the injury on other mocks. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
But I will I'm going to go all in. Jameson Williams will not be available tomorrow.
Okay.
Wow, he's taking
Eric,
some
what do you
Irish
think?
chips,
All right.
too.
Yeah.
I just think, in my estimation, cornerback is the biggest need for this team, but I will take any talented defender that's on the board at 21 because they need a lot of help on defense. We saw the way last season ended.
Do you have a particular position on defense you'd like?
I mean, like I said, I think corner is the one.
Okay.
And if Andrew Booth, like Tamara mentioned, is there, great, I'll take him. But if Devin Lloyd's there, okay. You know, if there's a run on cornerbacks earlier in round 1 and you have to go either defensive end or linebacker, speedy, smaller linebacker like Lloyd or
So
any of these
I have
other
a
ones.
question
Yeah.
for all of you, because as we sit here and weigh players, what's more important to you? Is it their production, like their stats, or their physical traits? Because with the argument between Hutchinson and Walker, for example, Hutchinson has all the stats, but then Walker has the NFL prototype like style of body. So which one's more important?
Look at their tape.
Yeah.
Can they play?
Well, if you're a first-round
That's what it does
pick,
for me.
you better have all of it. I mean, that's what you're
Stats
looking for.
and
you
the
want
size.
it all.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what makes it tough.
A guy
Yeah.
like Trevon Walker, he's a little bit of a projection. That's a great defense, and that's another question of how many guys from Georgia are going to be picked in the next 2 days. A lot from that
I
defense.
think the entire
Defense.
first round
It's
could
going
be
to be like
Georgia.
7 or 8 guys.
It's crazy.
And
So-
it's a great point, Mike.
You know, so there's there's certainly, if you're going to get a guy in the first round, you want him to come in, you want him to contribute. And, one more position I think to throw in the mix is tackle. There are a couple guys, Trevor Penning, Bernard Raymond, who could potentially intrigue them. Long-term need on one of the edges.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in day 2 of this draft, second and third round. And there's a guy that there's 2 guys that have jumped out at me. One's a wide receiver, one's a cornerback. The cornerback is Tariq Woolen. This guy, I don't want to get it wrong. He's 6'4", runs a 4.26. He's got a vertical jump of 42. This guy's an athlete. He's a cornerback. I mean, if they can get him right, and if he takes coaching, this is a guy that they might be able to get in the 4th round that, I mean, he would be amazing.
That's value.
He's not the kind of guy in, like, small boxes, like that slot. But on the outside where they've had trouble down the field, this guy could be the answer. And then the other guy, I know Paul doesn't like him, but he could be a 4th rounder. It's Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati. He's another athlete. No, listen. He's 6'3", right? Runs a 40.5-inch vertical and runs a 4.3. All right. Let's just get it.
Fred's a numbers guy, Tamara. There it is right there.
All right.
Let's get some athletes.
Fred has answered my question. He prefers an athlete, specifically at wide receiver. But Paul,
he's on first round
you
picks.
need athletes.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think Alec Pierce is an exceptional athlete for a wide receiver. I've watched him play. That doesn't match that kind of those measurables. They don't match up on the field. The other guy, I'm not going to pretend. I mean, Woolen from, I think it's Texas, San Antonio.
Yes.
Freddie.
Yep.
I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to pretend I watched this guy play. Just like Freddie, I was intrigued by the profile there, and he has a lot of stats, a lot of measurables that you can't teach. He's a developmental guy. He hasn't been a cornerback for a long time. He made a transition from receiver. If you're willing to wait, I don't think he'll give you a whole lot in year 1, but if you're willing to wait for him to develop, 6'4" with a, sub 4.3 40?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty fast.
There's not that many guys on the planet.
Who I think of when I see those numbers? Mike Haynes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, Paul, so when you look at the Patriots offense, who do you think fits that mold, considering that wide receivers just come in so many shapes and sizes?
Yeah, I like some of the wide receivers. I like Deuce's guy, Garrett Wilson, I think is one of the best route runners in the draft.
I think he might be a jet.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be available. I like Olave too. I don't love him, but I do like him. I think both of those guys have shown at Ohio State they know how to, I'll use all the buzzwords. The passing game concepts. They can they can run their routes properly and they get open and catch the ball. That's what Bill always talks about.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about this. A lot of people want that first-round wide receiver, but I think there's a lot of really talented guys in day 2. That might require a little bit of a projection. Christian Watson's a guy that comes up a lot in day 2. He might sneak in tonight. John Mechie, of course, played at Alabama, played with Mac Jones. That's an easy fit. Coming off an ACL injury, he should be available later. So I think there's a lot of talent at wide receiver, as there has been the last couple of seasons, that could come in and help the team.
What do you think is the deepest room in this draft? Is it wide receiver or cornerback?
I think it's cornerback.
I don't think either one of those positions is very deep.
I don't think it's a deep draft.
In this draft.
I don't think the draft at all is very deep.
The draft class?
In this one.
I don't think wide receiver and corner. I definitely don't think corner is very
corner
deep.
falls off quicker than wide receiver.
Yeah.
But
Okay. I'm just talking about in the first couple days.
Yeah.
I would say
overall you might
wide receiver. I think wide receiver, there are
line.
a collection of players that could go, I would say 10, 12 guys that if they took them, you'd be excited that they could come in and bring something.
There's probably higher-end talent at corner, but more bodies available.
I think there's a huge drop-off after the second guy. I think Sauce and Stingley are outstanding. The rest are
Ahmad Gardner? You're not?
That's Sauce.
That's Sauce.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's
you like the sauce.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Stingley we really didn't talk about, but this guy might be the total package.
Hey, listen, Freddie, I'm going to need you to keep up. We're in front of a live audience.
Okay.
I can't bat you around like I usually do.
No, but I really think he could be a true shutdown corner.
And the guys that we talked about, like McDuffie and Booth,
they're good, but they're question marks.
But they're question marks. I don't think that they fit that profile of man coverage.
That's going to be it for the party portion. For the rest of the show, you're going to be just watching us. But thanks, everyone. Thanks, Fitzy, from the stage. Enjoy the party and keep watching Patriots Unfiltered.
We don't need no hype or none of that tonight, fellas. We dominate, fellas.
I got a little beef in the hood. I call her gang. She don't play with that bait. New contract being like I play ball, little boy ain't nothing to play with.
Okay.
One in here.
Yeah, I took mine off.
It's rather disconcerting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered. You're watching us until 8:30, and then per NFL rules, we're going to be audio only after 8:30. It's like the police showing up at a frat party, you know? They got to shut us down at 8:30. But I'm excited. This is going to be fun, right?
Yeah. The energy here is great. I mean, this is my third draft here. The first couple were undercut by COVID, but now we're at a giant party. There's Patriots coaches, players, alumni, all kinds of people walking around, tons of fans, all dressed up, tons of Mac Jones jerseys, Judon jerseys with the requisite red sleeves under. It's awesome.
I'm excited just because I really don't know what's going to happen in the top portion of the round.
Hey, when even Bill Belichick said it's an unpredictable day.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if he says that every year, but I think it's more so than usual.
I think it's more so than usual. Usually there's some consensus of who the top 5 players are. Maybe not exactly what order they'll go in, but you generally know these top 5 guys are going to be gone. We don't have that this year. I mean, you could have maybe 10 to 15 guys who could fall in those top 5 spots.
And where's the run going to start? You know, is someone going to grab a wide receiver, and then all of a sudden another wide receiver.
And we were talking about some of the deeper positions in the draft, and I sort of disagreed about the wide receivers in the corner. I think edge is one of those spots. And Tamara brought up Jermaine Johnson, and my initial reaction is there's no way he'll be available at 21. He's too good.
Yep.
But in this mock draft and in these all these different mocks that you see, he's all over the place. So I don't think he will, but who's to say he won't?
I would love it. I mean, I said it on the show this week. I think edge is a huge need that's really under the radar that people don't really talk about. You look at the people that they lost that played on the edge, and there aren't any clear starters across from Judon right now, young guys who haven't been proven. So if Jermaine Johnson were to fall, I think that would be a slam dunk.
So earlier we heard Bill Belichick on the stage. And, you know, he's not going to give us any info. But one thing he said, and why say it if you don't really believe it, is he thinks there's going to be a lot of movement in the first round.
Yeah.
He said that.
I mean, with the picks, you know, the teams having 2 picks, there's a lot of teams with a lot of capital, you know, and even like a team like Kansas City, what do they have, 12 picks?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of teams that have a lot to be able to go up and get guys. It's just a question of who do you really want that much to go up and cash in those chips? And how bad does a team want a quarterback? How good do they feel about Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis? Are there going to be teams out there that say, this is our guy, we're going all in on him?
Well, but maybe to the point about Jermaine Johnson we talked about before, if somehow he gets to a point where a team who really wanted him and didn't think he would be available at a certain spot finally says, oh, look, he's there.
Right.
Let's pick up the phone. Let's make that trade. Let's move up. Let's be aggressive and get the guy. I can see that happening.
I know it's you know, not as strong a draft class as in the last few years, but you know, teams fall in love with guys in the second and third round. Why wouldn't they now this year in the first round? And it doesn't have to be a quarterback. You know, if there's a guy, you know, if you're sitting at 21 and there's a guy at 16 that you love, you absolutely love.
If I was the Patriots, I'd do it for Trayvon Walker. I mean, he's my favorite guy in this draft. I think he'd be an ideal fit in this defense with all the different things he could do, how much they could move him around. That would be my guy. If he were, but you know, early in the draft process, you start doing it, you get, all right, wow, this guy really, second round, well, and then all of a sudden, here we are, and people are talking about him maybe going in the next 5 minutes here.
Right, I would do it for Derek Stingley. As long as we're going to take a guy who's going to be taken in the first 5 picks, I would do it for Derek Stingley.
I wasn't going to say anything, Paul. I let you be the bad guy.
I don't let Snark
If we're going to play pretend, let's go.
But you know, it does, like, again, with the uncertainty of this draft, you know, we're focusing on what the mock drafts have been saying are who the top 5 guys are. But a guy like Bill Belichick, or name any head coach, there could be somebody like, I don't know, Jahan Dotson that, that people just, you know, a certain coach just loves.
And that happens every year, right?
Exactly.
There's 2 or 3 guys that get taken in the first round that really nobody had in their mock drafts.
Right.
Usually
the
Raiders were the ones that would pick that, but they have a new regime now.
Arnett was one of the last guys
They would take Woolen in the first round because they're like, he's a 4'2" guy who's 6'4". That's a Raiders guy through and through.
Your point about Belichick when he said that before about how he thinks there's going to be a lot of movement. Don't forget, these guys are on the phone before the draft starts too, talking to one another around the league, so they probably have a sense.
They're making calls and they're getting calls.
Right.
Yeah.
So like maybe setting stuff up for, hey, okay, when draft night comes, we'll call you back again and maybe, consummate this deal that we're talking about now, or at least putting feelers out there for picks or players and picks.
This guy's there.
Right.
We might want him. What do you think? Would you play ball
Would
with
you
us?
play ball? Right.
I think the more moves, the more fun tonight. And it's just going to throw everything upside down, and I feel like we're going to get pick 15, 16, and then it's going to be, now we'll start to get a sense of who might be there for the Pats.
So my question is, when I was interning for the Giants, and I'm probably getting a lot of boos right now for the people listening.
Got a mole here.
But Gettleman would say, like, I'm going to pick the best guy that's available, even if it's something we don't need, like when he picked Saquon. Do you agree that that could happen tonight, where if it's like a team may need these 3 holes, but then there's a really great player like Sauce available, would you just take Sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Patriots,
Absolutely.
I mean, I think a good example with the Patriots would be that Dax Hill, who's kind of a safety type, and maybe not the biggest need for the Patriots. I know you could maybe project him as a corner, but it's those kind of guys. I mean, if another slot corner's available, I mean, for the Patriots, I feel like they have a lot of specific needs.
Or your guy, Kyle Hamilton.
I would love
now he's
Kyle
probably
Hamilton.
best guy in the draft.
like,
I'm a big
I
Kyle
like
Hamilton fan.
Hamilton.
But like, if by some miracle he's available, you got to take him, right?
So
at 21.
Yeah,
So-
well,
so you
unless you got
think-
Ed Reed and
But-
Earl Thomas back there.
Well, but the Patriots are, that's one position where they have guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
but still, like, if
do you take the best available, or
Right.
do you focus
I don't think
on your
that's what
need?
they do normally. I think they go for what they need. And if the need isn't there, they move out.
Well, there's a line where it's just silly. It's like you got 7 safeties. Like I know he's great, but like you have to build a full football team here, and it's like, hey, we got 7 awesome safeties. They're not all going to get on the field.
If they took Daxton Hill, I agree with you, Mike. It would be because they think he can be a corner.
Like a piece that they can move around, and he straddles
He's
that
a really
line
good
a
player.
little bit.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
But I think if they took him, it would be an indication that they think he can do more than just safety.
Are we all kind of resigned that if they do pick at 21, it won't be a wide receiver?
Not entirely, but mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mostly.
don't think it will. I feel like similar to Ramondre Stevenson, I think they can find a gem later on.
Me too.
Yeah.
That they
So-
can coach him up to be good.
Thank you for that segue. So who's your second round or third round wide receiver that realistically they might be able to get?
Well, Mechie, Watson,
Christian
Kyle.
Watson's
I
my
love
guy.
Kyle Phillips too. I think he's maybe a little bit later, but he's just a guy that is. I mean, I watch him and I'm like, that's that's little Wes Welker. I mean, it's like a bigger version of Wes Welker. But I think Mechie is the kind of person that there's obvious reasons why everyone likes him, and it almost seems too obvious.
It almost
and
seems
that's why
overrated
Watson's
to
a
me,
guy.
too.
Watson's a guy who's a small school, great, locker room kid, hard worker, has the size, has the speed. It's just a little bit of a projection with him because he's coming from a small school.
I see Commissioner Goodell on the stage, but he's not quite ready to announce the.
I think he just started the draft.
the Jaguars pick.
You got the Raiders
Fashionably
out there,
late out there in Vegas.
Yeah,
I mean, is there really like the ability to be on time when you're in Vegas? I mean, you never sleep.
Right.
You never sleep.
gonna be
There's
like
no
us
such thing
tonight.
as time in Vegas.
Right.
Like
No,
if
they
you,
pump oxygen into the casinos.
they
don't
do, and if you go into the casino, there are no windows.
Right.
There are no clocks.
Oh yeah.
And the drinks never stop. Right?
Yeah.
No.
They keep coming around.
No.
You need something?
Yeah.
You need something?
why
We're
got-
talking
I-
about all that movement, with what do you got over there, Deuce?
We got some cash.
I got my
That's the
cash.
cash.
It's fake cash, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But with Bill talking about expecting movement, and every year they do this. They have their own mock draft.
Sure.
They try
Yep.
with their intel to best predict what the teams ahead of them are going to do, and I wonder if this year's will be any worse than normal because they're right. It is more unpredictable than normal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I know they do that. I've talked to people. I don't know what the results of those mock drafts are, but I know that they have guys devoted to that. That they try to have a feel, like you, Fred, a feel for the
feel for
league.
the
That's
league.
right. That's
a
right.
feel for what other teams are going to do.
Yep.
The going back to your question about the receiver that you like maybe in the second round.
Yeah.
For me, it's the Georgia kid. I mean,
Oh, I
there's
like
all
him
kinds
too.
of Georgia kids. George
Yeah.
Pickens.
I like him too.
He's bigger than he's a bigger guy, fast, looks the part, and I think is more of a real deal than
He's a great example,
The last
Scal,
time they
because
went for
it's those kind of guys that you
receiver.
can get a little bit later due to injury
Yeah.
or whatever, but have all of the things that you look for in a number one guy who
Yep.
could potentially, you take him in day 2. I mean, how many receivers in the league right now are day 2, day 3 guys that are number ones?
Exactly.
There's plenty of them.
Right, and I think
So
he falls in that
those are those
category.
kind of guys, absolutely.
Yeah. Another thing that Bill mentioned when he was on stage, and I think Matt Groh mentioned it, earlier on Patriots.com a few days ago, about the number of older players that are in this draft and the number of players who came back because of COVID increases the number of, maybe quality players lower in the draft.
I mean, it's still, we're still trying to get a grasp on things after COVID, because last year, I mean, the Patriots had one undrafted free agent rookie. Like, it's still kind of wonky. I don't know if the draft this year will get that back in line, but I think he said there were some 6-year guys that they were looking at as well, which is
and that's absolutely true. Like the whole COVID impact on the draft, which makes it strange to me that it's considered such a down draft.
Yeah,
you would think it'd be.
Especially
more talent,
especially
like
experience.
there are more draft eligible guys in this draft than normal.
Guys who actually played 5 years of college football.
I think I heard Jim Nagy, who he was in our scouting department for a while here in Foxborough, and he runs the Senior Bowl now. And he talked about on a typical year they'll look at 350 or so players. He said this year they looked at over 700
for
the Senior Bowl, but yet the quality doesn't seem to be there.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd bring it up.
It's strange. I mean, I would say I think there's a lot of really good wide receivers. I mean, that's one position where I feel like
I just think it's
first
down
2 days
in comparison to the last 2 or 3 years. I don't think there were as many of those guys that I said, wow, like Terry McLaurin, he's going to be a really good player, and he's not going to get taken, until the 50s or whatever.
And the quarterbacks too. Like
the quarterbacks
are there just two guys really that might sniff the first round? It's bizarre.
I mean, which I think could be why you could see someone go after Baker or Jimmy G, just because there aren't that many available.
I saw the Giants didn't pick up Daniel Jones's 5th-year option, so maybe they're a team that is in the market right now.
I would say they are a team.
And they do have 2 first-round picks that they could give away for.
Yep. What are you hearing from your former contacts tomorrow down there in Giant Land?
the embedded giant.
She's a mole. She's trying to get the picks.
Tamara Gettleman.
All right. How much would you be willing in terms of capital to move up? Like, are you of the mindset? Are you guys of the mindset that, boy, they need to have as many picks as possible, quantity, or, are you willing to give up capital and move up?
For a specific player, I'm willing to give up like a 3rd-round pick or something to move up 3 or 4 spots. Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
So, Paul, for Sauce, you would move up.
Well,
but you're going to need more than that for him, right?
Well, it depends. I don't think you're going to make a 10, 15 spot move up the board.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to require a lot of resources.
Well, I think now you're dipping into 2023.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think you can get like 3 or 4 spots without breaking the bank.
Yeah. Or what if you package and you take 21 and then you come back up? I mean, is that could that be a possibility like they did in 2012? I think they need a lot. I think there's a lot of positions that, we can all say they really don't. They got one starting guard right now. I mean, they got Shaq Mason is gone. Ted Karras is gone. We talked about the cornerback. We know J.C. Jackson left. That already felt like a thin position. Plenty to talk about linebacker, which I'm not sure how much of a major need that is, and wide receiver, same. But I think they need a lot, and they got to bring in some depth and really they need a new foundation, I think. That's, a lot of old guys that are moved on.
I know.
A lot of holes.
Yeah.
See, that's, we keep
one or
saying,
2 great players. I don't know how much that's going to make a difference.
We keep saying they need to get younger. Well, the only way you're going to do that is through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And then let those guys play.
Right.
You could also stop signing 30-something-year-old players, but
you need a few.
Okay. So
the dilemma, though,
then you don't have 30-something-year-old guys in your roster. You have 20-something.
For me, the dilemma is, yes, you need to start stocking up on younger players. But in a draft that is widely considered mediocre at best, do you really want a lot of mediocre young players? Or do you want to try to package those picks and move up to get the few talented guys who
there's
most
a
people think
line,
are?
and obviously, I mean, Paul's being funny, but I mean, he's not wrong in that, guys like Uche and Ronnie Perkins and Chase Winovich is gone, but how much do they really get a chance just because you had Van Noy and Hightower?
Collins
so
and
in those positions, I get it. As far as like bringing back Devin McCourty, it is what it is. You want a veteran on the back end, that's fine. But overall, I think the point is correct. Though.
Let these
they
guys
need to
play.
get young. Let those guys play. See what Perkins has. See what Uche has, and go from there. But try to get guys now that can push those guys and just improve the team. Bring a new. I wrote about it a little bit. If 2010 they lost to the Ravens, that was a tough loss right here at the field. They went out, they got Gronk, they got McCourty. Kind of like right as Gronk came out with that helmet, he put the helmet on.
Yeah.
He starts doing, and it was like, wow, this kind of like makes me feel better about that Ravens loss. I feel like we got some new energy coming in. It feels good, like just here we go. We got a guy who's excited to be here.
Fanboy escaped.
Yeah.
Fanboy
had a
escaped.
bad day.
This is you guys are like, who's this guy with a back injury?
Oh no,
We loved
Gronk.
Gronk.
We loved
Gronk.
None of us more so than Andy, but we
Right.
all loved Gronk.
But and besides that, kind of superficial, admittedly. But again, the 2012, where you all of a sudden Chandler had to do it for the draft, so I had to get my Chandler in there.
Right.
But Chandler Jones, Dante Hightower, two guys came right in right away.
They moved up to get, too,
remade
by the way.
defense. You knew you needed those kind of guys. They moved up to get them, two impact guys. So that's something too, that you get two guys in there that instantly step in and kind of change the dynamic of the defense.
I was looking earlier at the draft value chart as well as the current draft order because I was trying to project who they might be interested in trading with if they could move down to try to acquire more picks. And I was looking at Seattle as a contender maybe because they're in the other conference. They've got a couple of second-round picks back-to-back. They've got a third-round pick that's pretty high up. And you combine the second and the third-round pick, they could move into the 21 spot if that's what New England wanted to do. And Seattle wanted to get a second first-round pick because I think they have one up at the top already. That's who I'm looking at as a potential trade partner, if that's what Bill wants to do.
The two elder statesmen, Bill
Right,
Belichick, Pete
exactly.
Carroll,
Right.
cranking off the phone.
Right.
PT's been at his regular first-round draft habit. He's dropping clues on Twitter.
Who's this?
Pete Carroll.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's all song
like a
related.
haiku?
Oh, yeah?
One of them was like a Macklemore song, Next Year. I'm not familiar with that song. I'm sorry.
Oh.
And then he just had another one with Beautiful, I think.
Are we sure he's
by
not just
Snoop.
an old man with his phone? Like, what is he? Does he know?
Yeah.
Someone take the phone
Take the
away.
phone away from him.
Take Pete's
I was
keys.
walking tonight on the...
Take the keys away from Pete. Beautiful by Snoop Dogg is the last one he tweeted
Interesting.
out.
Beautiful so these are all hints.
Seahawks draft clues.
Yeah.
See how he hashtags it?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Bill do that? On my face, he's putting clues down on my face right now. You wouldn't even realize it. Well, we got Logan Mankins here up on the stage talking to the party. Paul, got to talk to your old friend.
He's the man. Logan Mankins.
Up for
one of the
the
three
man.
We should remind everybody
One
to
of the
vote.
three finalists.
Vote for the Hall of Fame. Logan
Right.
Mankins up.
Yeah, with the millions listening, this is a good time to promote the Hall of Fame voting on Patriots.com. Yeah,
with the millions and millions listening.
Thanks, Rock.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
truly think this might be like the most watched/listened to draft just because of the uncertainty.
Yeah,
Let's hope
Like
so.
it's not predictable, so you have to watch it to figure it out.
right.
Or
Plus, there's nothing else on TV tonight.
Yes,
No,
yeah.
I'm only kidding. The Celtics aren't on until Sunday.
Bruins are on.
Oh, are
The
they?
Bruins
Yeah,
are
but it's
on.
still regular season. Doesn't matter.
No, this is it. There's such a build up to this, and right when the season ends, you jump into it, and by this point, you're just pulling your hair out with, what do you think about this
Just
guy?
make the pick.
Could they do
Just
this?
make the pick.
Could they trade up? And it's like you just
Well,
champing at the bit
speaking of
now.
the pick is in
Ooh.
Ah.
Okay.
for Jacksonville, but
right,
That
let's
took
get
17 minutes.
Final thoughts, Eric. Who is it going to be?
With the
Hutchinson.
first pick in the 2022
Walker.
NFL Draft,
Fred? You're the last
the
person.
Jacksonville Jaguars select
Hutchinson.
All right.
Trayvon Walker.
Walker!
All right, I owe you.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh. Paul picked Walker, too.
Okay.
I mean, I get it. I get it.
Fake bills flying all over the place.
Do that again, dude.
Hey. Sorry, you got money on me.
Don't be a sore loser.
I need those all back. I got
too bad those
rent. I got
weren't
rent
real.
too. I got rent too.
Do some of that right
Rent
now.
is due next week.
Well, good for them. I still just can't believe that when this process started, and as somebody who doesn't really pay attention to college football till it ends, that a guy could start out as like a late day one, early day two, blew the combine up, deservedly so, but he's an outstanding player. I'll be very curious how he does down in Jacksonville.
Yeah, the thing about all these Georgia players, it makes me wonder a little bit how much these guys are individually talented or how much
a great question.
the
Who knows?
collection of
That's-
talent made them all look good.
That's similar to LSU
You know?
and all those guys who went to the draft after they won the national championship.
Right.
Like,
The only thing about them is they were all good.
Right, yeah. But you have to wonder if the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Or, I mean, you could say that about Alabama, too. Like, are
Right,
all those
yeah.
players individually good?
Yeah,
And a lot of them are,
You know,
but-
I mean, for me, and I think part of that relates to Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. I think that's like kind of, when I look at that, I'm like, you got a little linebacker playing in front and back of a monstrous defensive tackle. Maybe that's where some help came, but watching Walker, the plays that he made, the athleticism, then you add all the measurables up, the length, everything. Is Jacksonville just going to stick him at defensive end, though? Because I think he could be maximized as a player who could stand up, move around, and here comes the stage. My Pop Warner rival. I had to coach against Troy Brown's son a couple weeks ago. Yeah, we took him down. Preseason, though, it doesn't count.
Deuce kicked his ass.
I would love to know who Troy Brown thinks the best wide receiver is.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I mean,
I would love to know.
There's just so many guys. Like, you know,
Well, I think that
Fitzy's going to ask him right now. But there's so many talented guys that are big and fast and all kinds of combinations. It's what's your preference? What do you like?
Troy
So
Brown
what's your
is
preference, Mike?
Anybody, any port in the store. No, I mean, I have my favorites, and I think, you know, Garrett Wilson. I was, again, a guy who was. I think a lot of people had Olave over him early in the process, and you know, I just kind of jump in and watch. I thought is just excellent. He's got good speed, run after catch ability. Nothing against Olave, who I think is just super smooth, but you know, you have your types. You like your physical guys, you know, you like your smooth guys, you like your fast guys. But I think Treylon Burks is another one to talk about who's, you know, I know people have a little bit of apprehension about large receivers who maybe aren't sub 4.4. But I think he's another dynamic player who I really liked watching.
I like him too.
By the way, Detroit's pick is in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that was quick.
They didn't waste time.
They did not.
Yeah. So, what do you think that means for Detroit?
Maybe they go with Hutchinson.
Jumping with Hutch.
Well, yeah, the
especially
Michigan guy.
Michigan.
Yeah. So.
Well, hey, let's keep track of the teams that don't use their full lot of time.
Thank you. Right? They're like, huh? Let's just go.
Keep it moving. If you know,
It's interesting that some people had them potentially picking a quarterback.
Detroit?
Oof. Yeah, at 30, at 32. No, seriously.
Well, that's
they
what
have
we did.
another.
Yeah.
They have another. We took Malik. Did we take Malik Willis?
Yeah.
Here's Detroit's pick.
With the second pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, wow. He's
Defensive
staying in
end, Michigan.
Okay.
All right, he's staying in Michigan. That's going to be great.
That one seemed a little bit obvious there.
Yeah, slam dunk. They must have been thrilled.
Yes.
I mean, it didn't really, probably a few weeks ago, it didn't seem like they'd have any chance at all at him.
Oh, they're in their war room going, we got our guy.
They got their guy, and
they
got another pick, too.
Yep.
Yeah, later on. For now, anyway. Good move.
I'm just disappointed that Deuce didn't get his trade up for Trayvon Walker at 17.
Houston's on the clock.
So Nick Caserio.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Get kind of maybe a Patriots.
Is
Probably not a quarterback because they drafted one last year. So
I agree with that. It would make no sense, but I did see something from one of the NFL.com guys today saying that there was a lot of juice in DraftKings for Houston. Did you see this? Mm-hmm. Houston taking a quarterback, and the guy, I think it was that Lance Zierlein, he said that he doesn't see it, but
oh, wow.
Sometimes the guys in Vegas, you know, the betting sites.
Speaking of Vegas.
The sharp spread, you know.
Yeah. What odds will you give me for them trading down here, Houston?
7-5.
Trading down from 3, I don't think there's a great chance. I think the other one.
So give me my odds.
10-1.
All right. I'm in for
Okay.
5 large.
Look at this
5
guy.
large.
See, Fred can pay the real money, though, so.
I don't know if I can afford that.
5 large.
Deuce just threw all the money.
It's all over the table, Paul. It's everybody's money.
Okay, so
you go. Help
yeah,
yourself.
I
Help
think
yourself.
13.
Fake money.
Houston's pick at 13 is more likely to be traded. I think. I don't think anybody wants to get up to 3.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I think it's Stingley or one of the
Or
Evan
a
Neal.
tackle. Yeah.
Yeah, there are
One
a lot
those
of them.
guys.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's
Which
probably
tackle
the
do you
Patriot
think is
come out.
best? I'll leave that to you guys. You do your offensive line in your own time.
I can only base
Sorry,
it on
Logan.
Love you.
You know, talking to people, actually seeing people at the combine, specifically seeing Ike Ekwonu at the combine, just seeing him sit there. I mean, just shoulders for days. I mean, he just looked like a giant, intimidating tackle. Nothing against Evan Neal, who also was like a svelte 340 or whatever it is. I mean, you don't even know where he carries that weight. I think either of those guys would be great. I bet you it's one of those 3, Stingley or those 2 tackles next.
Evidently, Trayvon Walker was in a serious car accident right before the draft.
Whoa.
But he wasn't hurt.
Not enough to push him down to 17?
I guess not.
No. So I thought maybe you
Guess
had some
not.
inside
We almost
info
had a
there.
chance.
We
First
almost
overall.
had him. Deuce, we almost had him.
Well, I'm telling
Missed
you,
him
man,
by that much.
this Vegas draft, like at the after parties at this thing, they're going to go, till Sunday.
I don't think anyone's
Stay out
getting
of
any
trouble.
sleep tonight.
No.
That's for sure.
That's a lot earlier out there, too.
That's
so.
true. It's pretty early.
Houston pick is not in yet.
Come on, Nick.
So
They're
are they going to get something to protect their rookie quarterback?
I don't
or
know. I don't know.
I
but
think a tackle makes sense here. It's a matter of which one you like the best.
Yeah.
I would say Evan Neal, but I think most people think your guy.
I think it's either. I think
The pick is in.
Okay, the
Wow.
pick is in for Houston.
Yes.
So we'll await the commissioner when he gets to the stage and talk about. So who do we think? Who do we think? I've just lost 500, by the way, but that's okay.
I'll go with Kwanu.
It's not real, Fred.
I'll go
Don't
with
worry.
Kwanu. Yeah, I'll go with Kwanu. But
Stingley.
Yeah, I think
it might be
Stingley.
Stingley, according to someone on Twitter here.
Oh. It's pick tipping time.
Okay.
Yeah, looks
trying
like
to
Derek
ignore
Stingley.
this. Yeah.
So you can now it's time to you go right back at me. Although I did mine in response to you because I knew Stingley wasn't going to be around at 16.
No, it's. I think it. You don't want to read too much into the Belichick tree and all that of what they value, but up until a couple years ago, getting a guy like Stingley seemed very, very high on the Patriots' priority list, and like we said, it's a pretty big drop off after him and Sauce. You got a chance to go get a potential shutdown number one corner. He checks all the boxes, and of course has some Patriot roots here with his grandfather. So
wow,
we'll see how it works out.
4 wins.
What's that?
They've had 4 wins in the last 2 seasons.
Houston?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Been tough.
One of them
down
was against us.
Which was the game that Deshaun Watson just
That was the game that
won
Deuce
my
was as
heart
mad as
over.
I've
I was
seen.
like, I couldn't believe it, but man, they had no answers. They had no answers
Right.
for him. That was the original
Right.
They Have No Answers game before last year's end of season one. But now we got Macro up here, I guess, talking to Fitzy.
Matt Grove's at the party, so he's taking a break from the war room.
Are you surprised? I feel like they'd be locked in right now. Like once the draft starts, no more
Well, I
interviews.
think
We're
that his part of the draft is probably done.
setting the table.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so now it's Matt Patricia. It's of course Bill Belichick. Probably I don't know if Elliott Wolf has as much a role, but
I think so.
I think he does, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Guy was in
Director
line
of
for a couple of
scouting.
GM
Kind of made
jobs
a new
this year.
title
Yeah.
for him a little bit. Is that director of scouting?
but he might Matt, I'm sure he's as soon as he gets out of here, he's going to go right back to the war room. But I think his big part comes pre-draft.
Yeah, I would imagine if the Patriots were involved in any sort of trades,
Right.
that he'd be down there
Right.
doing that right now.
Is there
so.
just like a rubric he hands over, and it's like if they draft a
With
he
the
doesn't
third
even
pick
see-
in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Derek Stingley Jr., defensive back, LSU.
And there it is. And there
Paul
it
just
is.
taking Bills away from Fred all
No,
night.
as I said, earlier in the show, I think Stingley has the potential to be a true shutdown corner in this league, and I picked him as the guy the best player out of this draft.
and not without some questions.
Everybody in the
they all
draft
do.
has questions.
Yeah, but not the 3-4 year performance. I mean, couple year guy, but it's a obvious pick, and that's I think that's where the league is, and that's why I think you can't rule out any of those cornerbacks late in the draft. But with Stingley going this quick, it might kind of move things up with Sauce, and then we're McDuffie's
Well,
going
the
to
Jets
go.
are the Jets are on the clock now. So do they try to get some protection for their young quarterback, one of these offensive linemen that we talked about before?
That's the thing that always
But-
bugs me about the draft is just that you spend all this time falling in love with all these guys, and then you
Yeah.
realize, the Jets are going to get a
So
couple.
I
Like
think
the
the
Dolphins
Jets
are
is
gonna
a good example
But
of
they've
my
been
question
for the last
earlier.
decade,
I
and it
know,
doesn't
I
matter.
know.
Wait, guys, the
Yeah.
Jets are good example of my question earlier.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
get sauce, or do you get something that you actually need?
Right.
Well,
They probably
but
need a
Sauce
quarterback,
is actually
too.
really. I mean, their defense is wretchedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is their. I mean,
Well,
They need a lot of help
I
everywhere.
think
they need both.
They're the
need
Jets.
both. They
They're
need
the-
everything.
they're
They
the
just
Jets.
drafted a first-round left tackle 2 years ago.
Becton.
Now he's been hurt a lot, so right now he's not working out. But
Some protection for your quarterback.
I'd rather have Sauce than tackle here. I think they need They had the youngest defense in football last year, and it showed. They were, I mean,
Yeah, but
all you have to do is remember the Patriots game when they just were powerless to stop.
Yeah.
A pretty average offense.
And I would think just by Stingley going to Houston, it might, because I mean the Jets are going to pick here again at 10. So if you don't get Sauce now, you're not getting Sauce.
Yeah.
I would take Sauce now, and I'd take a receiver.
You don't get the
at
sauce.
10.
You're not getting the sauce. You're going to get the sauce.
I had a little tickle there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I had to suppress that one tonight.
So maybe Sauce now, and then
Receiver.
probably Jameson.
So if it is Sauce,
Probably.
you might be starting pushing tackles down the board a little bit. So something to think about. But obviously, long way to go
well,
before
3 for
21.
3 on defense.
The Giants got to be going tackle, right?
I think so. Get there.
And the Giants are up.
Lame duck quarterback, some protection in his last
Yeah,
year.
right. Protection for whoever's back there.
I know. We saw him last year at training camp.
Yeah,
and
not good.
their
Not-
best
not a good-
plays.
not a good
Their best
impression.
plays were like naked bootlegs where he just ran down the field, and I was like, "Well, we can't tackle you. Just, go."
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Great play, guys. Yeah, but
if you're right that the tackles start to slip, we thought Houston might take one at 3. Maybe they get one at 13 instead, and they don't trade that pick.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think I don't want to speak for you, Paul, but I think you agree with this. Like, you like the cornerbacks. You would go with
These two cornerbacks, I think, are like far and away separated from the pack.
We haven't talked about
Gardner and Stingley.
We haven't mentioned Thibodeau's name lately in the last
Right?
half
Right.
hour.
Right.
At one time, he was projected to
The
go
first overall.
Yeah.
Really,
Right.
like all last season, I felt like he was like, whenever he kind of glanced at it, he was always kind of a top.
He was the top pick until the pre-draft process started. And then it changed.
Apparently, his character is the question mark.
He doesn't play hard all the time. I
Perfect
guess.
Jet.
Perfect Jet.
Play like a Jet today.
Yeah. Apparently, he needs to be humbled, according to some reports.
But Fred's funny joke aside,
No, I'm being serious.
You feel like Robert Saleh. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that he would sniff that out. I don't know if that would.
I almost didn't recognize David Andrews without the mullet.
Well, he buzzed.
Wait. You should have seen him. We went to a community service event, and he had his whole head shaved.
Yeah. It's growing back in, but it just...
He looks totally different.
He looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Dietrich Wise.
But the reason I bring up Thibodeau's name is, so the Jets are at 4. Do they say, wow, we didn't think Thibodeau was going to be there?
Well, they made their pick.
Oh, he was supposed to be. A lot of people have him around 10 now, but we were talking about like the beginning of the draft process.
I know.
A lot of people thought he was 1. I think the defense at the top of the draft is. That's the takeaway so far, right?
Yep.
Right. Not great for the Patriots.
And Saleh's a defensive type head coach, so wouldn't be surprising. They take a defensive player here.
People are tipping. I don't know where they're getting this info, but Sauce could be the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just do that the rest. This guy could be the guy.
Extra sauce?
No, we don't know. This is just it's the same.
So
it makes sense.
Everybody has access to Twitter, and that's where we're getting it from. So
I think it's looking like my pick number 21 could be
Jermaine Johnson
or Andrew Booth.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm all in on 2.
I think Andrew Booth will be available.
So you're half in.
Yeah. I'm 50-50.
Well, I don't know though. He's probably 2 cornerback picks away. It might be McDuffie then Booth after this. Oh, they're turning the lights on.
Okay. All right. Let's see what the Jets are doing.
They're still going with that, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
The pick is in. They're slapping each other on the back.
They got their guy.
And the Jets wore on. What are you doing?
You had the fourth pick.
You made a pick, and the 4th pick, it's like, good job. Like, we got a good player.
Maybe it's just the relief that you got the guy.
No,
you know who you have.
Isn't like when you pick 4th overall, don't you go and say we're going to get one of 4 guys?
Right.
Yeah.
It's performative.
Yeah.
It's for the cameras.
It really is pathetic.
It's ridiculous.
Wait till Dallas goes.
Well, we got to continue the trend from last year after the Patriots pick, or we got to do that too, right?
All right. Jets fans are getting rowdy.
Yeah.
In
I'd
Las
like
Vegas.
them to start moving this along.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to know who David Andrews up there would like to, how he'd feel about maybe
First of all, David Andrews would love
A Georgia
Nakobe
player.
Dean,
He just wants a Georgia
probably
player.
right?
a Georgia player. There's a handful
Well,
that we could pick.
he's had several. Haven't all worked out.
Just a stacked defense. What are they going to look like next year? That's like, they're just going to roll in another.
Who, Georgia?
Yeah, like 8 guys who are all going to be